Good evening. How's everyone doing? We are in person. Yay. Let's give a round of applause for that. Good evening. My name is Brian Rohrkassi, and I'm the chair of the board of United Through Reading Board of Trustees. And on behalf of my fellow trustees and the staff at United Through Reading, we would like to thank you for coming this evening. Whether you're here with us in person in the beautiful Martin Luther King Junior Memorial Library in Washington, D.C., or watching us on the live stream this evening from somewhere else, we're excited to be able to gather for the first time in over a year. We're especially excited to be at this newly renovated library that's absolutely beautiful. It's closed in 2017 for the modernization and full renovation, which we can appreciate and see here tonight. And in fact, this is the second public event that's been held at this library, and we could not imagine a more perfect moment for having their second event here than this reception tonight. Before we begin, I'd like to commend and thank the staff at United Through Reading for the incredible work they've done in delivering our program to military families at a time when they needed us so much more. Working virtually and producing programs during the pandemic was no easy feat, and our staff remained steadfast in their commitment to helping families stay connected. The staff could not have delivered on their mission without the support of our sponsors, and we would like to thank tonight Reader's Digest Foundation, Dollar General Literacy Foundation, Navy Federal Credit Union, USAA, Northrop Grumman and Floor, and all of our supporters for sticking by us in the challenges that we all faced in the year 2020. I'd also like to thank some of our distinguished guests who are joining us this evening. We're fortunate to have the support of senior military leaders such as General Joseph Martin, USA Vice Chief of Staff of the Army, the Honorable Christopher Lohman, Undersecretary of the Army, Lieutenant General Mark Sasserfield, United States Air Force Vice Chief, National Guard Bureau, Rear Admiral Mark Melson, USN Deputy Director, Joint Chiefs, Brigadier General Benjamin Watson, United States Marine Corps Commanding General, Marine Corps Warfighting Lab, and tonight's featured speaker, Patty Barron, Deputy Assistant Secretary for Defense for Military, Community, and Family Policy in the Department of Defense, and Sarah Farnsworth, Special Assistant to the Secretary of Defense and Director of Protocol. We thank you all for taking time out of your busy schedules to join us and be with us here tonight. And I'd like to thank everyone again who's here in person as well, and those watching via the live stream. Your commitment to United Through Reading and to military families everywhere is greatly appreciated. Now, we'd like to share a brief video about United Through Reading and the impact that we have on military families.
For 30 years, United Through Reading has connected military families through shared story time during periods of separation, including deployments, training, long work days, and overnight shifts. What we do is simple. We help service members video record themselves reading a book to their children or other children they love, and the recording and the book are a gift for the children to watch on demand whenever the service member is away from home.
My mom gave me this book, and I saw that there was a video in it, and so we put it in our DVD player, and I realized that it was my dad, and I was just so excited to see him.
And I went into Isabel's room, and there was my 3 high schoolers, my middle schooler, my kindergartner, my preschooler, and my dog laying on the bed watching their dad read them a book.
It gives you the opportunity to actually set time aside, commit that to your family, commit that to your kids, and then you just get to go and focus on them. It provides a level of interaction that you don't get through Skype or FaceTime or just through the live chat feeds.
Being able to put the DVD on whenever one of the kids would miss Daddy, it would make things better again.
You can watch your mom or dad read a book to you, and it almost feels like they're really there and they're really back at the house reading to you.
She actually felt like I was there reading the book with her. Like there was no separation. She didn't know that I was halfway around the world.
We were worried that with him leaving, that she would lose those connections with her dad.
Doing that United Through Reading ensured that she never forgot who I was. She always was happy to see me and ran to me as soon as she saw me come to that door whenever I've come back from any of my deployments.
Just seeing Jacob recognize Daddy again after a long time just melted my heart.
Reading to them is going to maintain your presence in their lives, and it's the second best thing to actually being there.
It just made me feel really happy, that United Through Reading had a big part keeping me connected with my daughter and my wife.
I hope that brings you as much joy as it brings us. It doesn't matter how many times I watch those little families, that just makes my heart sing. And I'm absolutely giddy to be here with everybody. It's just awesome. So, just awesome. So nice to see so many familiar faces and friends and colleagues, and also to see new ones. So thank you, as Brian said, so much for joining us. I'm Sally Ann Zoll, Chief Executive Officer of United Through Reading, and also welcome the people who are joining us via live stream. As Brian mentioned, 2020 brought new challenges for all of us, but through it all, United Through Reading remained focused on keeping military families connected through Storytime. We never lost our focus. Our mission to connect military families, no matter the distance, became more important in the last year as 54,000 National Guard and Reserve members were activated to fight the global pandemic. Service members' time away from family increased as they faced mandatory quarantine times, adding at least 2 to 4 weeks away from their family on top of their already demanding training and deployment schedules. In October, we launched ebooks with our mobile reading app, partnering with learning technology company Houghton Mifflin to start our app library with ebooks, making it easier than ever to record stories. And we now have ebooks available on the app so that you can do that wherever you are. Our app now has many new features, thanks to our partners at USAA, including festive framers to add to recorders. I have no idea what that means. And the ability to upload video recordings outside of the app. And so you can also add or delete recipients, just in case you want to send it to more than one child in your life. So if you have not only your children, but your niece or your nephew, you can do that with the app. So from the comfort of home or in a hotel room where you've been quarantined, the app was and is always available to you. To make the app even more fun, we launched reading and recording challenges, allowing families to gain prizes from the stories that they read on the app. And while the prizes are a fun incentive, the true gift is the libraries of stories that were built for each time that service member left home again. And it was such a success that we're going to continue that this year. If you're eligible and you haven't signed up yet, please do. We have a current summer reading challenge available. Last May, we launched READiness 365. As I like to say, READiness is my favorite word because the first 4 letters are read. We have focused on how United Through Reading helps military families maintain connections, reinforce family routines, provide reliable communication, and promote daily reading. Our keystone partner, Reader's Digest Foundation, announced their visionary $2 million gift over 3 years, helping ensure that every military family can continue to read together every day, no matter the distance. And that's what we do. There's nothing more we love than connecting with military families in person. But of course, this past year brought new obstacles to one-on-one engagement. Instead, we took part in over 290 virtual and drive-through events, no easy task, to spread awareness about United Through Reading and to teach people how to use our app. We saw you all online at Millspouse Fest, Yellow Ribbon events, our READiness 365 launch, storybook chapters, and countless virtual meetings and webinars. For us, 2020 served as proof of what we can accomplish when we stand together and for whatever comes in the future. These sustained efforts are impossible without you, and for that, I am so very, very grateful. In March of this year, we launched our white paper, Reading and Resiliency, Making Literacy a Military Family Community Priority, to outline the importance of the act of reading, especially in light of the current COVID-19 learning environment and the oncoming stress that comes with it. Then in April and May and in June, we convened education, business, and government leaders to discuss over a series of webinars how resiliency through reading is attainable, accessible, and adaptable for every child in our very diverse military community. United Through Reading is very excited to announce the creation of the Literacy Advisory Council, composed of educators, publishers, and military lifestyle specialists. This volunteer group of experts will support the Board of Trustees and staff as they move forward developing programs, securing partnerships, and recommending books for our programs and participants. We're still building the Literacy Advisory Council, and our members are listed on the screen behind me. Stay tuned for exciting updates from this incredible panel of advisors to United Through Reading. And now I'd like to share a brief video that gives you a glimpse of the webinars, if you missed them, and the true rock stars that were able to join us and share their knowledge with us. Throughout our webinar series, we've established that literacy is a foundational skill for lifelong learning, and that reading aloud lays the groundwork for future educational success for our military kiddos.
Reading aloud and reading aloud together, Barbara, to your point, it builds language skills and it builds language development. We know that kids who've been read to every single day actually start kindergarten with a much higher vocabulary and a much greater kindergarten readiness than kids who haven't.
I think if as a parent you can only do one thing for your child, basically in utero through their childhood years, read to them. That will help the brain develop and give them the best chance to have a successful life. So United Through Reading is a win-win program. Helps the service members, helps their family, and really helps childhood development.
So organizations like UTR, they work to foster that part of reading as a means to foster those family ties, and that student academic development takes place from there.
Organizations like United Through Reading are providing great programming that allows military families and military connected kiddos to improve their well-being. And you shared with me some really great statistics, and the one that just comes through every time is that 100% of your participants said that the Read Aloud program not only improved morale for each individual, but for the whole family as a unit. And thinking through service as a holistic family choice is so important, and making sure that we're taking care of our service member all the way down to our smallest military kid is just incredibly important as we think about national security.
Deployment's really hard on military families, and UTR does a great job in making sure that while service members are deployed and away from their families, they're able to read aloud with their children to help them in their developmental process. UTR's mission is very important to our nation, and I appreciate them doing it, and I appreciate the service of our men and women who are sacrificing so much to keep us free and safe.
I agree with the central point that you made of how United Through Reading was so prepared for this unprecedented time that we could have never imagined, where we'd have to use digital and virtual to connect and engage.
When we look at families holistically, and again, I think one of the things we learned is that so many of our military children either enter the military, or they consider entering the military, or they marry into the military. And so having a child who has had a very strong foundational education with problem-solving skills and ability to succeed they're going to be a better military member when they become an adult. And so I think we look at it not just because of the individual child, it's the long-term investment into our force.
I think that's really an important statement because, again, Dr. Bingham had mentioned something earlier about it doesn't matter if it's a temporary duty assignment, if it's a reservist that's drilling on a weekend, or if it's somebody that is deployed, overseas for a longer period of time, whether they return after 2 weeks, 2 days, 2 months, or a year, there's still support that's required. And organizations like yours and the other nonprofits, companies like mine, we're focused on it because it's a military connection. There are lots of companies who have military members and reservists and veterans that work for them, whether they're in the line of work that supports the military or not. So there's room for all at the table. There's room for more team members at the table.
With the right tools and resources, like United Through Reading, our military families and children can learn resiliency and strengthen the readiness through reading. I swear if I ever see myself on Zoom again, it'll be too soon, seriously. We really had a great lineup for those webinars, and I encourage you to watch the full versions of each one. They're really full of great nuggets, and we were honored to have so many wonderful people on it. And now it gives me great pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker, Patricia Montes Barron, who was appointed Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for Military Community and Family Policy in January of 2021. In this role, she is responsible for policy, advocacy, and oversight of all community support to service members and their families. That's a big job. As an Army spouse for 30 years, Patty has been involved in a myriad of efforts to support military families, including serving on numerous councils, committees, and advisory panels in support of our military families and children. We're so pleased to have her joining us tonight to share with us the outlook for our military families as we come out of the pandemic and the ways we can all support them. She is the kindest, sweetest, most humble person I have ever known, and she is wicked smart. That is a great combination. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome my friend, Patty Barron.
Hi, everybody. I'm very excited because I know a lot of you and I just dropped something, so that means that I'm really excited. So, Mr. Warkasi, I'm going to give this back to you. And I'm going to pick up my remarks, if that's all right. So I am just thrilled to be here. Sally, thank you so much for that very kind introduction. I'm, again, seeing everybody here and so many of you that I know, it just warms my heart so much because I get to see you in person, which is a little bit scary, I'm not going to lie, but it's still really, really good. So good evening, Mr. Warkasi, distinguished guests. It's really an honor for me to be here this evening, and I'm going to try to speak to you a little bit on the topics that you're very familiar with: literacy, resiliency, and military family support. Each year, the annual tribute United Through Reading celebrates our military families and thanks those who support its mission, and this is a really good mission, to unite military families facing physical separation by facilitating the bonding experience of reading out loud. That's a great mission, and you do it very, very well. The mission resonates really well with me because, you see, I married an infantryman. And as a matter of fact, there he is right over there. Say hi, honey. My husband, Colonel Retired Mike Barron, served 30 years on the active duty. I was along for the entire ride. And I spent segments of time solo parenting as he was sent to many places that we, his family, were not invited to go to. That's all right. But we were really busy during the day, and we had so many scheduled activities that we really didn't miss him. However, It was in the evening, after bath time, that the kids were acutely aware of his absence. Because evenings consisted of stories and a special time where we would divide and conquer and take each kid and read them a story and then fall asleep with them while we read them the story. But frankly, each one of the kids would feel really special to have that time with individual parents. His absence robbed them of that connection, something that United Through Reading's mission is laser focused on fixing. And so, Sally, I really needed you in the 80s. But now, fast forward to my role as the Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for Military, Community, and Family Policy. And I'm honored to lead an amazing team who is dedicated to ensuring we establish quality of life policies and programs that help our military families live their very best military life. And that includes, of course, literacy and education initiatives. And military life, as many of you in this room are well aware, and I'm looking at you, military spouses, is a rewarding and very challenging adventure. Is adventure a good word? Okay, we'll call it an adventure. It affords us many amazing moments, but it requires a lot of hard work, particularly for our service members with young kids. Being away from them while on deployment or on assignment is really incredibly tough. You know, we talk a lot about resiliency in the military, and so resiliency is how we bounce back from tough situations by being proactive and sometimes even creative. Well, let me tell you, military spouses are creative and resilient and proactive, that is for sure. And resilience is a skill that we all kind of have to learn. Some of us are born resilient, but many of us have to learn this skill. And we must learn it due to the nature of military life, because it's key to our military readiness and quality of life. As a matter of fact, that saying, if mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy, it's not truer than in military life. It's also part of United Through Reading's vision, which is to cultivate a nation of resilient families with a shared love of reading. United Through Reading expanded on this topic in their publication, as Sally mentioned, Reading and Resiliency, Making Literacy a Military Community Priority. Google it, download it, read it. It makes the case for reading together and how it builds resilient families and improves children's education and development. We are fortunate there are increasing more ways to stay connected across long distances that were not there when we were children. And parents can now record a video on a smart app and read their child's favorite book from the other side of the globe. That's pretty remarkable, highly creative, and more important than ever in order to stay connected in today's world. At Military, Community, and Family Policy, supporting and improving education is a key focus area for us that does, as I mentioned, include literacy. And through the Department of Defense's Morale, Welfare, and Recreation Libraries, yay, we host the Summer Reading Program each year with virtual and in-person options, as well as courses, tutorials, and activities for learners of all ages. The program is available at U.S. military installations, but you can also access it online, so you have no excuse. We also offer the MWR Digital Library to service members, veterans, and their families on our Military One Source website. Where is Rosemary? You know I had to say Military One Source. And we provide on-demand online touring for all active duty service members and their dependents year-round. I'm pretty proud of that. United Through Reading has worked with the services for many years, sending books to installation libraries and making video recording equipment available before their mobile app was launched. Helping deployed and separated service members connect to their children promotes family resiliency and helps build literacy, which is an invaluable and heartwarming service. And we're really proud, Sally, of our partnership with United Through Reading and appreciate the great support and work that you all are doing at our military libraries with the Army, the Navy, the Marine Corps, and the Air Force, and I'm sure you'll get to the Space Force soon enough. United Through Reading has an active presence at more than 260 Army, Air Force, Navy, and Marine Corps locations around the world, and I think they all started on ships, if I'm not mistaken. So the Navy came first, but that's okay. Army's right there. United Through Reading makes a difference every day, promoting resiliency, maintaining the bonds of family, and helping build literacy within our military communities. United Through Reading truly is one of my favorite programs. I love United Through Reading. 15 years ago when we first met, I knew I was going to love it. Although I didn't use it on my kids, I use it now with the most adorable Army kids in the world, my 2 little granddaughters that are stationed in Germany, and I miss them. So Sally, thank you, Josie, Jessica, Molly, the rest of the wonderful United Through Reading team, and thank you for everything that you do. And I just want you to know that I have the app. Thank you for having me.
I told you she was awesome. Told you. I've always said that nobody tells the United Through Reading story better than those who use our services, so we have a really special treat for you tonight. Our beneficiary speaker is a 4th-generation surface warfare officer and Naval Academy graduate who experienced firsthand the benefits of United Through Reading when he was a child and his own father was separated from his family. And now he is able to remain connected to his own children, using United Through Reading as he carries out his duties in the U.S. Navy. I had the opportunity to meet Graham and his wife, Katie, last night. They are absolutely darling, darling people. They are wonderful patriots for this country, and I'm proud to introduce you to Lieutenant Commander Graham Van Hook.
Hey, thank you so much tonight. So today is Wednesday, the 21st of July. This is the first 21st of July that I've been here in the United States in over 4 years. Okay, so the last 3 or so, I've been deployed consecutively. So I was deployed in 2018, I was deployed in 2019, and then 2020 during the pandemic. And just to put that into context, my son, my oldest son, Jackson, who's a very precocious 3-year-old right now, was born 1 month before I left on that first deployment. So what does that mean? That means I was gone for the majority of my son's life. So what do you do? How do you connect with this young child that you want to be a father for? How do you be that dad to him? How do you be there for him and instill the values that you think that matter, which is reading? And so what did I turn to? I turned to what everybody turns to, their own life experiences. I was very fortunate in that I have a very loving father who also served in the United States Navy. And he used United Through Reading. This was in the early to mid 90s. This is back when we had, VHFs, the JVC, and I had the whole thing set up. And those are some of my best memories, believe it or not. I mean, I can close my eyes and I can see myself listening. I'm not sure if anybody remembers, but like great illustrated American classics, with the white binders and the big red lettering. And I would listen to Black Beauty, the whole thing through, which anybody that does Audible that's driving a car, that's like 4 hours. So, and my poor father would say goodnight every time at the end of a chapter. And I would just listen on my bed every night and just listen to it until I fell asleep. And so those are the kind of experiences that I lean upon, especially with my father, when I'm trying to connect with my own children. We're very lucky. My wife, Katie, is pregnant with our 3rd child now, 3 under 4, so it's going to get intense. But those are the things that make life great. And it's United Through Reading that creates that bridge. And it's the 2 best things that we have, right? Which is connecting military families and then children's literacy. You're bridging that gap. And it's just absolutely amazing. And it was really great and beneficial to come full circle. Now I'm on the other side of my equation because at the end of the day, I just miss my dad. I wanted to be with my dad. And now on the other side of the world, literally in the Middle East, or if I was in the Eastern Pacific, I just wanted to be with my little son who is being extremely verbal and wants to read and wants to do nighttime. And so that's why I've kind of transformed even more so with the program where I started doing some heavy volunteer work. I was very fortunate, and the United States Navy gave me the ability to command a warship. And anybody that has joined the military, you know it's a young person's game. It really is. And so you have a lot of young sailors that are being separated for the first time away from their families, whether men and women. And it's hard. It's really hard to adapt, especially during COVID. I mean, we were deployed during COVID, no port calls, sitting at sea. And what I would do is I would get the ship up close, and guess what we'd do? We'd get some Wi-Fi, and we're doing some United Through Reading app. Absolutely. And I was on this very little ship, but I had books of children's books. And no matter how cynical some sailors or service members can be, when you're reading Chitta Chitta Bang Bang, like, you can't get cynical, right? So it was great. It was lighthearted, and it really connected the dot. And where my sailors, specifically to my ship, were hesitant at first, they made a connection back home. And even if they're 18, you know, they have a young brother or sister at home. You know, they have a niece or a nephew. They want that connection home, and reading a book and, you know, connecting with a young person on the ability to read and being a family member that's separated by distance is all that matters. So I really want to just say to you, Sally and Brian, thank you so much for United Through Reading. This is an amazing program. I'm a I get it. I've been on the receiving end, and now I'm on the giving end of it, and I just urge everyone, go spread the gospel of UTR. It is absolutely an amazing program, and hopefully one day my son will be reading one day as well. So thank you so much for tonight. Thank you for this wonderful event, and everybody have a wonderful evening. Thank you.
It was very powerful. Thank you very much, Lieutenant Commander Van Hook, for sharing your very powerful story, your leadership in instilling the value of United Through Reading and the connection it brings to the sailors that were under your command. So thank you very much for that powerful testament. This brings our program to a close. We've had a wonderful, brief in-person event tonight. And thank you again to Betty Barron for her remarks and for all of you in joining us this evening. I encourage you to remain connected to United Through Reading, and hopefully based on the powerful stories you heard tonight, it will be even that much easier to do so. And you can also see more on the Reading and Resiliency webinar series and download the white paper that was associated with the series that Sally referenced on our website. And we would like to announce that our next in-person gathering will be in San Diego at the annual Storybook Ball that will be held on November 6th in Coronado. So thank you again for being here tonight and for tuning in around the world on our live stream. Please stay safe and have a wonderful evening. Thank you.